And another question I was going to ask you real quick before we get into that, the King thing. So that developed from the match with Jackie Fargo, right?
Fargo.
It was the King of Wrestling or something like that.
Well, I had just made an offhand remark on a promo on the Saturday morning. He and I were going to wrestle that Monday night, and I just off the top of my head, I looked in the camera and I said, Fargo, you've been the king of wrestling, the king of Memphis for a long time, but you're looking at the kid that's going to knock you off your throne Monday night. That was it. That was my interview, and I walked off. And anyway, then we had the match Monday night, and I won. And as I'm leaving the ring, a bunch of young kids are saying, everybody hated me except there were a lot of young people that, like I did when I was a teenager. I liked the bad guys, and there were some people that liked the bad guys, and they were saying, "You're the king now. Yes, the king. You beat Jackie Fargo." And so that just kind of stuck in my mind, and some of these crazy things happened throughout my career that were just like coincidental. I wrestled Jackie on Monday night. That Friday I was wrestling in Atlanta, and they were just sending me down to make some shots in Atlanta to try to get some exposure. That was a whole different territory. Mm-hmm. And I could fly down, and they had a midnight flight out of Atlanta back to Memphis at the time. And so I could make that flight, and I would get back to Memphis at about midnight, and then make TV the next morning there in Memphis. So that Friday, after beating Jackie and saying, that I was the king of Memphis now, I go down to Atlanta, and I'm sitting in the dressing room, and all of a sudden in walks this guy named Bobby Shane. I'd never even met him, and I was going to be partners with him that night. And in he walks, and under his left arm, he's got this big red crown, gold and red crown. And on his right arm, he's got this big king's robe hanging over his arm. And he's wrestling as King Bobby Shane.
Huh.
And I just saw that, and I'll never forget. I just looked at it and said, oh, my gosh. It's like the light bulb went off over my head. I said, man, where did you get the crown and the robe? I said, and I told him the story. I said, I just wrestled Jackie Fargo last week. I said, if I could show up on TV, with a crown and robe on, it would be a classic, right? Yeah. And he said, well, you know what? He said, I'm wrestling for the promoter there in Atlanta was Jim Barnett, and he also was promoting wrestling in Australia at the time. And he said, I'm leaving tomorrow on Saturday morning. I'm leaving tomorrow to go to Australia for Jim Barnett, and I'm going to be down there for 2 weeks. He said, he wrote down the place. I'll never forget, Southern Importers, Houston, Texas. He said, this is where you call, and they'll send you a catalog or you look it up, and this is where you order the crowns. He said, but I'm leaving to go to Australia, and he said, I don't want to lug this stuff with me. I'm just wrestling as Bobby Shane down there. Mm-hmm. He said, you take this, you show up tomorrow on TV with this crown and robe, and I'll get it back from you when I come back in a month from Australia. I said, ugh. And there it was. I showed up the next morning with the crown, the robe, and all of a sudden I was the king of Memphis.
Meant to be.
And and the thing that makes it real meant to be was Bobby Shane got back about 3 weeks later, and the first week that he was back from Australia, before I hooked up with him, he got killed in a plane crash down in Florida. Mm. So I was left with his crown and robe, and I used that for a long time.